So if you could change one thing differently from your situation, what would you want to change and how would you have gone about it differently?
I mean, in all honesty, like I don't necessarily, I'm not a huge fan of this person, period. So if I could take everything back, I probably wouldn't talk to this person, just knowing that they do this. But at the same time, though, like you're gonna come across people that do this, so you can't just cut out other people that because like there's a bunch of people that do this. So it's not like I can just not talk to her because we're in a group chat, so I have to, and I'm not just gonna leave the group chat because of her. So I guess going indifferent, maybe just saying like like hey I like I'm sorry that you're going through a tough time or sorry, but like at the same time though like sometimes might even like sometimes people don't realize that they're doing things like this. Like sometimes like it could be like an unconscious thing where people are like they don't realize that they say things. Like I mean I'm like that. I say a lot of things that maybe I don't necessarily know that I'm saying it or I don't realize that I'm saying it, which doesn't mean it's on purpose, but it just seems like this is like a common occurrence for her.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, and I even think sometimes some people can't help the fact that they feel that they have to be at the center of attention every single time and in every single thing that they do, you know?
Exactly, and that's who she. I think that's who she is. Like I feel like a lot of times, whenever we are talking, like the other, like you literally yesterday, she was like, she said something, but then some other of us were already having a conversation about something else. So she literally typed, and she was like, "Oh, I guess nobody cares about my situation," or she said something along the lines of that, and I'm like, "A, you just typed this a minute ago, and B, we're all having another conversation about something else." So like,
So she was basically trying to steer the conversation, which she was trying to steer the conversation from what you guys are talking about to it being
right.
back on her again.
Exactly. And she does this a lot. So
Gotcha. And what would you say to someone who came to you with the same problem?
I think just letting them know that like, hey, like, like I feel like in this world, like everybody's feelings are valid regardless of what they are. Nobody has I think I think yes, maybe like let's say like, oh, like I failed a test, but then you could be like, oh, my grandma is like really sick. Like, obviously me failing a test isn't as big as your grandma being sick, but at the same time though, your feelings are valid and so are mine.
Yeah,
So I think telling
exactly.
it the person that like your feelings are valid and mine are valid. So let's kind of not try to I guess one up each other, but let's try to be like help each other out. Like saying like, oh, like do you have another test coming up? Oh, you do. Then what can you do? Like maybe you should study more. And oh, if your grandma's sick, like oh, like I hope she gets better, or I hope you can spend some time with her, regardless of whatever the situation may be.
So I feel like, I guess to sum up what you're saying, would be sort of to, like not compare apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Would be like some good advice for someone else.
I think so because I think a lot of times we always try to compare each other's situations, which whenever you compare, it never goes good because then if you try to compare something that if, like especially people like I can compare two movies, that's one thing, but if we're comparing problems or we're comparing lifestyles, there's obviously going to be some like unbalance because like you could be really rich and I could be very poor, and it can be like if we're trying to compare, like you can be like, oh, my life is so hard, like like, but you're rich, and then here I am is like, oh, but like I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow because like I don't have enough money. So if we're kind of comparing, and that's not to say that someone who's rich doesn't go through problems, but at the same time, the person who's poor has their own problems as well.
Got you.
Yeah.
So what I'd like you to do for next week, I would like for you to, if you end up having another occurrence with this person, I want you to kind of write down like how everything plays out, how the situation started, what happened, why it happened, things of that nature. You got me?
Yes.
And I will see you next week, same time.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.